Welcome back to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast. I am your host, Jesse Ewell, and today we're going to be talking about treating your marketing like a bad ex.
You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewell. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.
Now, what does this mean? So before we get into today's show, I want to preface this as, inside of Habit-Based Lifestyle, we have a unique organic marketing system that we teach health professionals and coaches and other business owners how to leverage their social media profile to get more of their qualified leads, more of their ideal clients, and convert them into a high ticket offer. Now, as we do this, we often, we're interviewing people every single week for our program. We're talking to them about it. And there is this common theme that I see. And what I see is people, business owners specifically, go around talking about how they were screwed over by the last marketing company they worked with. Now, here's what I want you to know is, number one, I do not like to consider us a marketing company, but because we have a system that we use that teaches organic marketing, our human funnel system, people often, put us into the marketing category. Yet, that is not everything that we do. It doesn't really describe every little thing. I like to think of us as a results company. And so our job is to help you and your business achieve better results with a proven system that can generate an additional 10 to 30K in revenue. So with that being said, we oftentimes interview business owners, and one of the things that they talk about is how the last marketing company screwed them over. And one of the things that I started to think about is like, man, you sound like some dude or some, we do work with women and men, so I don't want to just preface this as that, but like a lot of business owners, specifically males, will tell us, hey, XYZ marketing company screwed me over. The last person I work with, the last 5 people screwed me over. And so one of the things, I had someone the other day start telling me the same thing, and I stopped them and I said, hey, can I ask you a question? And they said, sure. And I said, let me ask you this. Before you start telling me about the last 1, 2, 3 marketing companies that screwed you over, which is what you're about to tell me, can I ask you a question? And they said yes. And I said, what would happen if you, and I asked this guy, hey, are you single or you're married? He's like, hey, I'm not married anymore, but I've been married. And I said, what would happen if you walked around town and told every new potential girlfriend that you went on with a date all about the last, 2, 3, 4 relationships you had and how you got screwed over by, those people? What would happen with your relationship today? He's like, well, dude, I would probably end up getting either the same result or they wouldn't even want to go out with me. The date would pretty much be over. And I said, okay, so why are you showing up this way on a call where someone could potentially help you? And they're like, man, I never thought of it that way. And I said, exactly. So why do you think that you continue to get screwed over after, marketing company after marketing company? Is because you continue to show up with the same energy, you continue to show up with the same excuses, and you continue to show up with the same story. And as we sat there and talked about it, I said, okay, now I'm going to ask you another question. And he's like, yeah, what's that? And I said, were there other people in the program getting results? And he was like, yeah, there was a lot of other people. In fact, I was referred a lot of times to these programs where people were getting results. And I said, okay, so if the common denominator was you were in every program and you got screwed over by every person, you guys know where this is going. So imagine this. You have 5 relationships. All 5 relationships end up with you blaming the other person that they screwed you over, what they did. You guys all know people like this. And yet in business, we treat it the same way. And so my question is when are you going to take responsibility for how you showed up as a business owner in your business when you hired companies? Because a lot of times we hire people for the wrong reasons. We date people for the wrong reasons. We're desperate. We may need something. And so we make a bad decision because our decision making is we don't look at things that may be red flags that come up. And so therefore we hire someone when we know we shouldn't have. That ends up not working, or maybe we end up not doing the work. We end up not showing up, and we end up skeptical. And so we never actually have belief. We never have a good attitude about what happens. And so then we come up with a story that we got screwed over. What I want you to consider is this. A few years ago, I think it was about 3 years ago, I hired a guy, and I'm not going to say his name, but I will say this, that I paid him $20,000 to work with him for, I think it was a period of like 120 days. And after about 60 days in, I'd got some good results. I probably made back in those first 60 days. I probably made back my money plus another, $20,000-$30,000. And he's like, hey man, I'm coming out with this new program. Would love for you to be a part of it. Here's what we're going to do different. Here's what we're going to have. He's like, I could just apply what you've already paid to the new program, and all you would have to do is pay another 10K or another 20K. Instead of you getting, 120 days, you would get the rest of the year. And I was like, all right, cool, man. Yeah, no worries. I've already gotten results. Well, anyways, as things happen, 3 months goes by, all of a sudden, instead of this guy that I hired him for, which was business, all of a sudden this single guy is starting to talk to me about, my marriage, is starting to talk to me about, my kids. Mind you, this guy has no kids. He's not married. And he starts talking to me and giving me some advice on some of those things. And I was like, hey, listen, man, I'm going to be honest with you right now. Like, stop talking to me about my wife. Stop talking to me about my kids. You have no kids. You are not married. And so the advice you're giving me, like, I'm not here to talk about my wife and kids. I'm here to talk about business and how, we can move forward. And he's like, okay, cool. And I said, besides that, you're kind of like not showing up on calls. These are some patterns I'm starting to see in what you're doing. And I'm starting to see some inconsistencies because I notice that when I work with people, before I work with them, I usually will follow them for a period of 30 to 60 days, and I will watch their consistencies and inconsistencies to see if they're actually people I want to work with. So as I did this, I saw someone who represented the consistency, but then as we started working together more and more, I started to see some inconsistency, and they were, up and down, emotional swings, up and down, through content, just through how they put themselves out there and displayed themselves. And I saw some really big highs and really lows. And so as this person, I started to see it. Well, 2-3 months goes by. We have this conversation. All of a sudden, this guy stops showing up on our calls, starts making excuses. And then all of a sudden, he goes MIA, missing, and we're, 5.5, 6 months in. So he goes missing. I find out through some people on his team that he has, a mental breakdown, ends up, in the hospital, depressed, anxiety, all these things. But what happens is that basically the money I invested was now $40,000. All of a sudden, my guy, we're 5.5, 6 months into a program. He's not showing up at all. I don't even know what's going on with this program. He basically burns his program down within a 30 to 60 day window. From that period on, everybody exits his company, everybody leaves, employees, everything. He goes from making $400,000-$500,000 a month to all of a sudden everything vanishes. I'm sitting there waiting around, wondering what's going on. He won't answer any of our messages. And finally, 60 days later, he kind of comes back. He tries to, hey, I'm going to make things better. He's got so much anxiety, stress. People are, upset, pissed off. I'm like, hey, dude, you do your thing. You take care of you. When you come back, we'll work with you. But I don't really want to work with you if you're just getting out of this mental place and, you're going to do these things. So he's like, hey, I'll make it up to you. These are the things that I'll do. But anyways, ends up happening is he, again, kind of relapses, burns his, program completely down. I think he sells it to somebody else. But basically, I was out the other money. Now, the point of the story is this. I could have easily walked around, felt sorry for myself, and said, hey, this guy screwed me over. Yet I saw red flags from day one, but I was unwilling to say anything because I was getting results and I was seeing progress. And as I look back at it, I'm not even mad about it because I felt like I got out of it more than even when I invested the $40K. Plus, it was a great lesson by me to hire people with similar values. Here I am hiring this guy, single guy, no kids. And, he's successful, but he just had money. There wasn't anything else that he modeled that I wanted other than, learning how to, do some of the things he was doing in business. But those inconsistencies that I started to see, I was okay with for a period of time because I was making money off what he was teaching me. But this is the exact same thing that I see in so many people that we talk to is, I had to take responsibility for the things that I wasn't looking at. I had to take responsibility for my own action because the most powerful place that I could be as an entrepreneur is taking responsibility for my results or my lack of results, no matter who I work with. And here's the thing is, if I don't have belief in me, then I'm going to lack belief in whatever program I sign up for. But if I have belief in me that I'm going to show up, I'm going to do the work, then usually whoever I work with, to some extent, it's probably going to work. It's probably going to get me some type of result. Now, there's been other times where I've signed up for things. I've saw other people get results and, maybe for whatever reason it didn't work for me, but I always had to take responsibility and be like, hey man, was my messaging correct? Was, all these other things correct? Because, that person that was getting results, all those things were clearly defined and mine weren't. And then here I am comparing my success and their success, yet we're not equal because my things were not dialed in the same as the other person's. And so we play this game a lot of times in business. We play the blame game, we play the victim game, and we do the same things in our relationships. Yet we think something is going to be different moving forward, yet we continue to show up the same way. We continue to show up like a wounded bird that, has a broken wing. And this broken wing, the broken wing business owner who's been screwed over so many times. And, it's like, why do you continue to show up with the same energy? Why do you continue to show up with the same excuses? Why do you continue to show up with the same victim story and think that the next time you sign up for any program, whether it be sales, marketing, whatever, that things are going to be different? Because guess what? The thing that's consistent is you. the thing that is the behavior that's consistent is you, not the marketing company, not the sales company, not the business coach. It's you that are consistently doing this. Now, even inside of, the health and wellness space, I was spent 20 years as a trainer. What we would see is people that have been on every single meal plan and how none of them worked, but for whatever reason, they were going to sign up with you. No other meal plan worked. All these other people were, mean or not good. All of a sudden, they're bringing that same thing into you. My number one goal is to try to change your mindset in that place, because if you're going to talk bad about every other past business relationship, every other past diet, every other past, thing, then what I know is this: at some point, I'm probably going to be the next bad person if we don't shift your mindset in the beginning. And so this is where we always start, is giving you a better mindset, listening to the stories you're telling other people, listening to the stories you're telling yourself, so that you can break free and stop having those same issues. So with my, client that I walk through is like, hey, what were the inconsistencies that you had? What were the things that, when you went into signing this company up, what are the things that you overlooked or maybe didn't pay attention to, so that you don't run into these same troubles again? And we laid out expectations. We laid out things that they could have done different. And he's like, hey man, like, this is a really cool thing that you walk me through. He's like, I was kind of triggered at first, but he's like, this is a really cool thing that you walk me through. And now I can kind of see areas where I could have took responsibility and showed up more. And guess what, guys? At the end of the day, I could sit here and be like, dude, I got screwed over too. But at the end of the day, that's not a very powerful place for me to be. No matter if I'm in a relationship, no matter if I'm in a business, transaction, if somebody screwed me over and I sit there and hang on to that story, it's going to continue to happen until I learn the right lesson. And so the best thing you can do in this place is always take responsibility for things that you could have done different. Even if it's true, you got screwed over. How can you learn and grow from the situation so it doesn't happen again and you don't keep repeating that same cycle over and over and expecting a different relationship or a different outcome from there on out? So, guys, where in your life are you not taking responsibility for things that may have happened in your business, decisions that you may have made, and how can you start shifting or learning something new about yourself and recognize the things that you could have done to help yourself? So that's it for today's podcast. I want to thank you for joining us. Guys, if you have any questions or want to know how you could potentially work with Habit-Based Lifestyle to grow in your lifestyle, grow in your business, and help you shift your skill set as a business owner, your mindset as a business owner, husband, father, leader, and your habits, simply just reach out to us, jesse@habitbasedlifestyle.com. Also, we're trying to work on building our social media. You can check out my Instagram, Jesse, JESSE.EWELL. Follow me, friend request me on Facebook, Jesse Ewell, and you can find us that way. Until next episode, have a great day.
You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Ewell. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.